Betty is a famous artist and blogger with more than 1 million subscribers. She has recently hired an agent to sell her works. The agent created an online shop with Betty's exclusive paintings. One day, Betty woke up and saw that most of her followers recently unsubscribed. Can you guess what happened? Take a look at the items in Betty's shop. Van Gogh painted the Starry Night, not Betty. The agent tried to sell fake art through her shop. The next day, Betty visited her favorite cafe. She made an order and went to the ladies' room to wash her hands. She found this beautiful ancient necklace. 3 people approached her to claim the jewelry. Helen said, "This piece belonged to my grandmother. Emeralds fit our green eyes perfectly. Give it back." Fiona said, "My necklace used to have a weak lock. It must have been broken when I was combing my hair." Julia said, "Hey, it's mine. I lost this necklace in the ladies' room." Who should Betty give the necklace to? Helen mentioned emeralds, but the stones are red, not green. Julia was so sure that she'd lost the necklace in the toilet, so why wouldn't she go pick it up herself? Fiona was the only one who knew about the weak chain lock, so she's the real owner. Betty returned to her table. She noticed that someone had taken a bite out of her bagel. Betty was shocked and questioned other customers. Derek said, "Lady, I'm a billionaire. I don't need to steal other people's food." Zach said, "I'm allergic to gluten. I don't eat any pastries." Sheila said, "I saw a weird hungry guy running around the cafe and asking for money. He must have bitten your bagel." Who's lying? Zach. If he doesn't eat any pastries, why did he order pancakes? Fiona wanted to thank Betty for the necklace, so she bought her lunch. The women sat down together and began to talk. Betty asked Fiona about her job. Instead of answering, Fiona showed her family tree. Can you help Betty figure this out? Fiona is a witch. Her brother is a policeman. Their dad is a doctor. And their mother is a football player. Betty got very excited. She begged Fiona to teach her magic crafts. But Fiona hesitated. She wanted to test her potential student and offered Betty to solve this equation first. Can you help her nail this task? Many people fail to solve this equation because they don't pay attention to details. In this puzzle, every emoji, including the witch, wand, and the broom, symbolize different values. Before calculating the equation, let's find out the value of single things. First, calculate the value of one witch. It's 15. Now let's figure out the value of one wand. As you can see, it equals 7. And now, let's do the same thing to the brooms. This task is tricky because there are 4 brooms in this equation. So, if 4 brooms are worth 12, then 1 broom will cost 3. Now let's take a look at the final line. The witch doesn't carry around any broom or wand. Therefore, the value of an empty-handed witch is 5. And now, we're ready to solve the equation. And the correct answer is 73. Great job! Betty gave the right answer, and Fiona took her home. There's a beautiful garden maze on Fiona's land. She teleported Betty to the center of the maze and gave her this map. Betty must find a black cat. Otherwise, she's gonna stay in this trap forever. Can you help Betty out? Here's the way. Betty wanted to run back to the castle as soon as possible. Suddenly, a creepy zombie started chasing her. It looked hungry. Betty was running away and noticed 3 paths. The first path was covered by poisonous acid. The second path by bugs and maggots. and the third path by thorn bushes. Which way should Betty choose? Betty should choose the second path. Bugs and maggots are gross, but they're harmless. Fiona asked Betty to serve dinner for a witch party in her castle. Can you count how many witches have arrived at this event? There are 13 witches in this picture. This one is not a witch, it's a garden scarecrow. Betty needed to go to the store to buy some ingredients for dinner. She began to write them down: milk, lemon juice, eggs, butter, oranges, baking soda, cashews, and vinegar. What was Betty making? Have you guessed? Betty was making a shopping list. Betty served the witches the first meal. Can you guess what exactly? The correct answer is onion rings. Here's a second serving. Can you guess it? It's blueberry. What about this dish? What do you say? It's popcorn. Here's the next one. Did you get it right? It's a strawberry milkshake. Fiona asked Betty to bring dried flowers to cook a love potion. Fiona stores all ingredients in her warehouse, but as soon as Betty entered the warehouse, the door locked behind her back. Betty searched this area and found some old furniture and an antique mirror. Suddenly, she noticed 3 doors, but there was a dangerous monster behind each door. The first monster can turn any living being into stone. The second one is very angry and strong. And the third monster has venomous teeth. Can you help Betty choose the right door? Betty should open the first door and show the mirror to the monster so that it would turn into stone. Then she can escape through the first door. Betty took her phone and ran into the forest. It was pretty dark and scary. Betty stepped on a wasp nest. Wasps were everywhere. What should Betty do? Wave her arms to scare the wasps? Run away as fast as she can? Or walk away slowly? What do you think? The safest choice is to walk slowly. Waving hands and running is too dangerous. The wasps will get angry and sting her. Betty has returned to the party, but when she saw the crowd of witches by the fire, she got scared and ran away. Why? This lady by the fire is a ghost. See, she doesn't have any feet and levitates. Betty decided to hide in the castle. She wanted to call the police, but she couldn't find her phone. Betty questioned 3 witches. Georgina said,
"How dare you? I use telepathy. Phones and gadgets are for losers."
Lillian said,
"I was outdoors singing with other witches. I didn't see or hear anything weird."
and Nina said,
"I don't need to steal honey. I can manifest any amount of money anytime."
Who's lying? Georgina, take a look at her ears. She's wearing earphones, but she said she didn't use any gadgets. Fiona got very angry when she found out that Betty had interrogated her dearest friends. Betty apologized. Fiona said,
Okay, I'll let you stay, but you must answer 3 questions. Here's the first one. I've been here for 1,000,000 years, but I'm never more than a month old. What am I?
Have you guessed it? The correct answer is the moon. Here's Fiona's second question.
I build castles and I tear down mountains. I make some people blind, but I help others see. What am I?
The correct answer is sand. And the third question is,
I can be long or I can be short. I can be bought or I can be grown. I can be painted or I can be bare. I can be round or I can be square. What am I?
And the answer is fingernails. The party was still on. Fiona went upstairs to change her dress. In 5 minutes, Betty heard a scream from Fiona's bedroom and found her unconscious on the floor. Betty asked one question to 4 suspects.
What have you been doing for the last 5 minutes?
Jenny was roasting marshmallows by the fire. Gemma said,
I've spent the last 30 minutes in the pool.
Sarah said,
My frog Fluffy ran away to the garden. I've been looking everywhere, but unfortunately I couldn't find it.
And Nancy was flying on her broom around the house and filming the party on her phone. Who's lying? Sarah. Her frog is sitting in her pocket. Suddenly, someone turned the lights off. Betty woke up in jail. She found this clue on the floor. It said, explain this code and you'll be free. Can you help Betty? Here's the answer. Betty was running through Fiona's basement and noticed 2 more prisoners. She figured out that one of them was planning to escape. Can you guess who? The first prisoner. There's a hole behind the toilet that he started digging. Betty got out of Fiona's castle and ran away through the forest. Can you tell what's wrong with the forest? Look at the trees. They all cast shadows, but the big oak tree's shadow is in the wrong direction. Okay, let's go. We'll start with checking your vision. All you need to do is read the word. Let's go. What's written here? It says vampire. Next one. Can you read it? Is meadow. Another one for you. Look closely. Right. It says snowflake. Next one's up. Are your eyes sharp enough to read it? This is meadow. Another one for you. Look closely. Yeah, that's waterfall. Now I'll be showing you some pictures, and your task will be to find all the hidden objects in each of them. Here's the first one. You need to find the 5 objects you can see at the bottom of the screen. Okay, here's where they are. Did you manage to find all of them? One more for you. Concentrate, and keep in mind, you can pause the video if you need it. Great. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I hope you spotted them all. Emma Lynn is an archaeologist working in Africa. She has accidentally gotten stuck in a cave, and there are just 3 ways out. Her map shows that if she goes left, she'll come to a pond that pulls everything in. If she goes straight ahead, she'll run into dangerous dinosaurs that eat everything they see. If she goes right, she'll find herself very close to an erupting volcano. Which way is safe? The road leading ahead. Dinosaurs went extinct millions of years ago. It was Dana's birthday, and her best friends had prepared a gift for her. But first, the girl had to find it. They gave her a note with a hint. Do you know how Dana can read it? It looks as if the note doesn't make sense, but it does. The text is mirrored. That's why she can read it with the help of a mirror. Let's see. So it says, "Your present is in the laundry basket in the basement." Cheryl had to sneak into her dad's computer to delete some emails she had accidentally forwarded him. Her dad had memory problems, so luckily for Cheryl, he always left notes with his passcodes. And indeed, one of such notes was right on his desk. Cheryl typed in 6989. Unfortunately, this passcode was wrong. Can you figure out the correct one? The note was simply turned upside down. Cheryl should try 6869. Reese was on vacation in Cyprus. One day, he saw a beautiful woman and asked her out on a date. The woman said that she would go out with him, but only if he guessed her name. He said it was impossible, and she gave him a hint. The capital of Spain, the capital of Austria, the capital of Romania, and the capital of Australia. Can you help Reese figure out what the woman's name is? The capital refers to the capital letters of these countries' names. So, S, A, R, and A. The woman's name must be Sarah. Yvonne has 4 frogs: Dot, Hoppy, Yoda, and Aristotle. One of them is black and green, and 3 of them are black and blue. Find out which color each of them is if Dot and Hoppy are of the same color, Aristotle isn't black and green. If Dot and Hoppy are of the same color, then they must both be black and blue, since there's only one black and one green frog. If Aristotle isn't black and green, then it's black and blue too. So Yoda is black and green. Honor and Alea are identical twins. After they were born, Honor had her birthday 22 times, but Alea only had her birthday 5 times. How is it possible? They were born on a leap year. Honor was born late at night on February 28th, let's say at 11:59 p.m. And Alea was born a bit later, at 12:01 a.m. It was already February 29th, which only occurs once every 4 years. Now let's relax a bit and try to guess some movies. I'll show you some combinations of emojis, and your task is to guess the movie. Ready? Here's the first one. What's your guess? Of course, it's everyone's favorite, Edward Scissorhands. Okay, here's the next one. You must know it. It's The Devil Wears Prada. Can you guess this one? It's $1 Million Baby. Moving on. You just can't get it wrong. Obviously, it's Home Alone. There's no other story like this one. Can you guess this movie? This reverse transformation reminds me of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I have a couple more for you. I love this movie. Do you know it? It's Interstellar. And how about this one? What's your guess? This one is I Am Legend. In the afternoon, Detective Callum went to a little restaurant for lunch. He was waiting for his order. He overheard a waiter and a client arguing. The waiter claimed that the woman had ordered a special breakfast set and was now refusing to pay. The woman said she'd only ordered a coffee. Detective Callum knew who was lying. Do you? It's afternoon. No one serves breakfast specials at this time, so the waiter was lying. Miss Vidges called the police and reported that someone had broken into her house, tied her up, and robbed her. When police officers arrived, the house was a mess, and the woman was indeed tied to a chair. Still, the officers didn't believe that it was a real robbery. Why? If Miss Vidges was tied up and couldn't move, how did she manage to call the police? Her cell phone is too far away from her. An elderly man had poor vision. He lived with his son, Mark, because he needed assistance. One day, the man was resting in his armchair while his son was preparing dinner. Suddenly, Mark heard glass shatter. He ran into the room and asked what had happened. The window was broken. His father told him that some dark-eyed, dark-haired young guy had thrown a stone into the window and then had run away. Mark didn't believe his father. Why? The man had poor vision. He couldn't see the boy, and of course, he couldn't figure out the color of his hair and eyes. Miss Nebula Hayes left for vacation. While she was away, her home office got robbed. All the people whose fingerprints had been found in the office were interrogated. Celeste, Nebula's cousin, said that she'd been to the house just once because Miss Hayes needed her to send her a document from her office. Alyssa, the gardener, said that she'd been coming every third day to take care of the garden and plants. Cash, the cleaner, said that he'd come every Wednesday to clean the house. Who robbed the office? It was the gardener. Celeste and Cash had some reason to be in the office, so their fingerprints aren't that suspicious. But why would Alyssa come there? As you see, there are no plants in the office. In a VIP club, a rich lady was robbed. Someone stole her diamond necklace. The police visited 3 main suspects and interrogated them. Paxton said that he'd been at the party. He even knew what necklace they were talking about, but he had nothing to do with the theft. Reagan said that she hadn't noticed any necklaces. Gaia said that she hadn't been to that party. She was too poor to afford to go to such clubs. Who's the criminal? It must be Gaia. She said that she was poor, but look at her huge house and her fancy car. How can she afford all this if she's poor? Let's take a little break and check how attentive you are. Look, here's a ball and 3 cups. I'll put the ball here in this cup in the middle. Your task is to watch the cups and then tell me where the ball is. Ready? Go! So where is the ball? Look, it's here. Did you get it? Okay, let's try this one. Now I have 4 cups, and I'll be moving faster. I put the ball right here. Watch it closely. So where do you think it is? It's in this cup. Let's make it super hard and see if you can get it now. 5 cups, and I'll move them even faster than before. Ready? So where's the ball? It's right here. Chloe opened her locker and found an envelope. Inside there was a calendar and a note asking if she wanted to go to the prom. The note wasn't signed. There were just several numbers at the bottom. 25, 30, 24, 11, 26. Can you help the girl figure out who asked her out? The calendar is the key. You have to find all the numbers in the calendar, and the first letters of the respective months will make up the name. So, 25 is circled in June, so it's a J. Number 30 is circled in April, so it's an A. 24 is in September, it's an S. 11 is in October, so we've got an O. And 26 is in November, N. The guy's name must be Jason. Hopefully Chloe knows him. Annika was poisoned, and Detective Callum was on the case. One of the main suspects was Marcus Jones, Annika's sister's boyfriend, because someone had seen them together.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jones. I'm sorry to tell you this, but your girlfriend's sister was poisoned. Do you know anything about it? By the way, do you have any photos of her?
Marcus said, "Oh, poor Annika. She's such a good girl. Yes, I have pictures of my girlfriend and her sisters. Here it is." The detective looked at the photo and arrested Marcus. Why? In the picture, there are 4 girls. This means that Marcus's girlfriend has 3 sisters. Still, Marcus somehow knows exactly which one of them was poisoned. Chris and Sally are best friends. They live in different districts of the city. But this morning, they went to the same railway station. Chris left home 15 minutes earlier than Sally. They met in a park. Who was closer to the railway station when they met? The guys met in the same place, which means they were equally far from the station. Chris and Sally arrived at the station in time, but they still needed to buy tickets. The price for one ticket was only 50 cents. Chris gave the ticket booth guy $1 without saying a word, and the guy gave Chris 2 tickets without even looking at him. Why? Because Chris gave him 4 quarters, which implies that they need 2 tickets. Chris and Sally have set an ambitious goal to visit 100 countries in a year. Yippee! This morning they boarded the train and their dream journey began. Can you guess their first destination by looking at this picture? Well, have you cracked this rebus? It's Spain. The guys began to play cards with fellow travelers. They noticed the deck was missing a few cards. They also noticed that if they dealt the rest of the cards among 4 people, 3 cards would remain. And if they dealt these cards between 3 people, 2 cards would remain. If they distributed the cards among 5 people, again, 2 cards would remain. How many cards were left in the pack? There were 47 cards left in the pack. Let's see if 47 can be divided by 4. Each of the 4 players will get 11 cards and 3 cards will be left. And if 47 is divided by either 3 or 5, 2 cards will remain undistributed. The guys got hungry and went to the dining car to get some snacks. The waiter brought them drinks and some pastries. When Sally saw the croissant, she yelled and jumped away. There were 2 B's in front of 2 B's, 2 B's behind 2 B's, and 2 B's next to 2 B's. How many B's did she see? Even if it seems there were a lot of bees in that group, in reality, there were only 4. They simply stood in a square formation. When Chris and Sally returned to their car, they found out that someone had broken inside their cabin and stolen their expensive camera and laptops. They called the train guard and questioned 3 witnesses. Chuck said, "I've spent the last 20 minutes in a restroom. You see, I bought 1 pack of instant noodles right before departure. but I regretted it as soon as I finished my meal. Lola said,
I've been editing my vlog for the last hour. I was wearing headphones and didn't leave my cabin.
And Daniel said, I've been partying all night, so I fell asleep as soon as I got on the train. Who's lying? It's Chuck. He said he only bought 1 pack of instant noodles and eaten it. But where does this unopened package come from? Suddenly, the train drove into a tunnel. The lights on the train went out for a few seconds. When the lights came back on, Chris and Sally saw that Chuck had escaped. They chased him around the train cars. Can you help them find Chuck in this car? He's hiding over here. And what about this car? He's hiding on the luggage rack. What about this car? There he is. He's wearing the uniform, pretending to be a train worker. The guys got off the train in Barcelona. After that, they ordered a taxi to go to the apartment they rented in advance. The driver was very generous. He said, I will give you a free ride if you solve my riddle. I have 4 wings, but I cannot fly. I never laugh and never cry. On the same spot, I'm always found, toiling away with little sound. What am I? The guys solved this riddle right away and enjoyed their free ride. What about you? The correct answer is a windmill. Finally, the guys found their apartment, but the door was locked. The combination lock required a 4-digit passcode. Can you find any clues and help the guys open the door? There are 6 words written on the wall: eyes, nose, skin, hair, ears, and tongue. All of the listed words are human sense organs, except hair. It's a hint. The correct passcode is hair. The guys loved the rented apartment a lot, but there's one item they liked most of all. Solve this riddle to find out which one. I'm a word of 6. My first 3 letters refer to an automobile. My last 3 letters refer to a household animal. My first 4 letters are a fish. And my whole is found in your room. What am I? The correct answer is a carpet. Sally and Chris went for a walk along the beach. They built a beautiful sandcastle and then went swimming. When they returned, they noticed someone had destroyed their castle. They decided to interrogate 3 people standing nearby. Francois said, I've been putting sunblock on my wife's back and I didn't notice your castle. Billy said, I played ball with my friends. I focused on the game and I didn't touch your castle. Alice said,
I saw one weird guy passing by. He stepped on your sandcastle. Horrible. People are all so ill-mannered.
Who's lying? Alice. She had lost one of her earrings at the crime scene. The guys headed to a beach party. Chris asked the local DJ to play his favorite song. The DJ said, all right, but you gotta solve my riddle first. I'm always in charge. I'm never in debt. I'm known as the first amongst all my kind. I'm found within cars, but never in buses. You won't find me in Mexico, but you'll find me in Germany. What am I? Chris cracked this riddle very quickly. What about you? The correct answer is the letter A. The guys planned a boat ride for the next day. That's why Sally decided to check the weather forecast. Can you tell whether it's a good idea to sail? This puzzle says thunderstorm, so they probably should choose another way to spend their time. Chris and Sally decided to visit the greenhouse to enjoy the local flora and fauna. How many flowers and butterflies are there if both of the following statements are true? If all the butterflies land on all the flowers, one butterfly for one flower, one butterfly won't get a flower. And if every two butterflies decide to share a flower, one flower will be left without a butterfly. Do you think you'll manage to find the answer? That's right. There are 4 butterflies and 3 flowers. Chris and Sally went to see the local museum. Unfortunately, they got lost in the basement. They wandered around for a while and found 3 doors leading outside. Behind the first door, there was a zombie with dangerous hungry monsters. Behind the second door, there was a lake with cold water so cold that nobody could spend even a minute in it. Behind the third door, there was a giant dinosaur breathing fire. Which door should they choose to survive? To solve this riddle, we should remember these 2 things. First of all, dinosaurs didn't breathe fire. That's what dragons do. And dinosaurs went extinct many millions of years ago, so Chris and Sally should choose door number 3. Chris and Sally ran outside the creepy museum, but suddenly a guard popped out of nowhere and said,
I'm going to set you free if you manage to crack my riddle. Here it is. Look in my face. I'm somebody. Look in my back. I'm nobody. What am I?
Can you help the guys out? The correct answer is a mirror. Chris and Sally went to a souvenir shop to buy some gifts for their friends. The seller offered them 3 boxes, but the guys can pick only 1 box. Can you help them make the right choice? The first box has a dark bottom, like something is leaked or rotten. The second box looks too fancy and bright, so there's probably something cheap inside. The third one looks like the first one, but it's clean. So they should choose the third box. The guys went to the local skyscraper to take panoramic pictures of the city. They saw a man gazing through the window of the 33rd floor of the building. He suddenly opened the window and jumped on the other side of the window. When he landed on the floor, he was totally fine. How can that be possible if he didn't use any kind of parachute and didn't land on a soft surface? The man is a window cleaner who jumped inside through the window after finishing his work on the 33rd floor. The next day, Sally and Chris arrived at the airport. Can you guess their next location? That's right, it's Greece. When you have 3, you have 3. When you have 2, you have 2. When you have 1, you have none. What is it that you have? Can you crack this code? The correct answer is choice. When you have 3, you have 3 options. When you have 2, you have 2 options. But as soon as there's only 1 remaining, there are no options.